5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Hi, I'm Commander Chris Hadfield, astronaut, spaceship commander, spacewalker, part-time musician. I'm here today to hopefully debunk some common space myths. Here's this common perception that you will immediately fry to a crisp by the unfiltered, unadulterated solar radiation if you get sucked out of the airlock. In truth, it's way worse than that. In the shade in space, it's like minus 250 degrees. But the part of you that's in the sun, it's plus 250 degrees at least. So it's going to start boiling and burning. So it's like lying on a red hot stove with a piece of dry ice on your back. And your lungs are going to be sucked flat instantaneously. But even worse than that is your blood is going to boil, like opening a can of pop where suddenly all the little bubbles come out because there's no air pressure around you. So simultaneously, you are going to freeze, boil, burn, get the bends, and no longer be able to breathe. Not a good way to go. I've done 2 spacewalks, and I was very thankful to have a spacesuit around my body so that none of those things happen to me. Sometimes in space. Not true. Living on a spaceship is the most lazy existence you can imagine. You're weightless. You do not have to lift a finger. You don't have to hold your head up. Your heart doesn't have to lift your blood against gravity. You can be the laziest person in the universe in space. But eventually you need to come back to Earth. And if you don't exercise for your whole 6 months in space, you'll sort of turn into a jellyfish. Machine, we have a unicycle, and we have a treadmill where elastics hold us down just to keep our bodies strong enough and our bones dense enough so when we get home, we don't just fall over like a puddle. But you don't need to work out all the time. You've probably heard that space has a smell, maybe like burnt steak or some type of barbecue. That's true. When you get like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or to me it's sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's a cool, lingering trace of a smell. I think what it really is the emptiness of space, the vacuum of space, is actually pulling trace chemicals out of the metal of the walls of the ship. Little bits of stuff you never smell because normally there's air pressure holding them into the metal. They're slowly off-gassing those tiny little trace gases and trace particles that otherwise they never get into your nose. And those are released. It's sort of that metallic gunpowder-fired smell. That's where the smell's coming from. Maybe it's not even coming from space. It's just sort of coming from space's effect on our ship. Yeah, in truth, it smells a little bit like a burnt steak. With years going by, you'll stay the same, but everybody that you know will die. If you came back after going incredibly fast, you would have gotten older by the amount of time that it took for you to travel, but people on Earth would have aged much, much faster. They would have had a longer period of time, because if you get going fast enough, your speed is sort of proportional to the time passing. So you'll still age, but you just age at a different rate than people back on Earth. Einstein did this cool thought experiment. Imagine if you were looking at a clock. The light from the clock is coming and hitting your eyeballs and telling you it's 12 o'clock. Well, imagine if you could move away from that clock at the speed of light. It would only say 12 o'clock because that light and you would be moving away from the clock at the same speed. So for you, it would look like it was always 12 o'clock forever. You'd still be getting older, but that clock would always look like it was the same time. The people on Earth were continuing to live. They're not aware of you going the speed of light. So you can see that the time for you, because of your speed, is relatively different than the time for the people on Earth. It's a really unusual thing to try and grasp in your head. There's nothing to carry the sound from the sun to us. Even though it's incredibly violent, there's nothing to carry the sound from the sun to us. Even though it's incredibly violent, there's nowhere for the pressure of all of that sound, all of that noise. There's nowhere for the pressure of all of that sound, all of that noise. There's nothing to carry the sound. Rides at the fair where you're pinned against the wall. And for now, that's actually true. We don't know how to control gravity. We have no way to control gravity. We can sort of pretend there's gravity by spinning a ship and everything stick to the sides like a ball on the end of a string. Maybe someday we'll figure out how to control gravity. But for now, we have to spin the whole ship. Only in the middle would they be weightless. We don't know. We think maybe it's possible that you could go faster than the speed of light, but we sure don't understand how right now. So We're not really working on it, so sleep. We don't know how to do that. Right now, when you freeze water, which is what we're mostly made of, our blood and everything, it goes into crystals. It turns into ice crystals. And if you allow the beautiful, delicate nature of your human body to expand into ice crystals, it'll destroy the structure of you. It'll kill you. Frostbite destroys it so that you get gangrene in your hand. You'd end up with entirely destroyed bodies. So right now, we do not know how to successfully freeze a human body so that it is not going to be permanently destroyed. Maybe we'll figure it out someday. We're not really working on it. So on the internet all the time, someone has built a balloon and they've launched some little figurine with a camera attached to it where they take a picture way up high in the atmosphere. You can see the curvature of the Earth. It's pretty cool. But it's high enough to get all the way up into the stratosphere. So if you have the right equipment, it's true.